Okay, guys, so I think we're gonna start. So welcome. Who actually is with us not for the first time and has been to the other meetups that we have done this year? Okay, so some people are new, some people came again, so that's cool. So it's something that we are co-organizing with WeWork, Tribe 47, Sublime. Sometimes some other cool people are joining. The idea is to just share different cool things about e-commerce and how to grow it. And today, the subject is about subscriptions. Based on the number of people who have signed up, and we are not advertising it massively or whatsoever. I think the subject is of interest because we have seen, I think, the peak interest in this particular subject. So I would say that's cool, and I think I know why is it so. And in this particular session, me and Arek are gonna actually try to give some background for the further discussion. And as you guys know today, we're going to start, and then after us, there's going to be a case study by Sublime and Psi Buffet. So they're going to show you some real actual numbers from the product subscription business. So definitely wait for it. It will be very cool. And in the end of this event, we're going to have a panel discussion where we managed to invite some really cool guests. One of them is the founder of one of the most famous Polish product subscription businesses, Marek from Yorkaya, and we also have two people from investment funds who are investing in the subscription products, Movens Capital and B-Value. And we have Mateusz, who is a previous co-founder of a subscription-based business, right now a growth manager in subscription businesses, and in the end, just an expert consultant persona. So it's going to be an awesome panel. Obviously, I'm going to lead it, so it will be even more great because I'm going to ask some, tricky questions, hopefully. Okay, so maybe before we start, a quick question to you guys. So who in this room owns or works for a business where there is a subscription right now? Okay, cool. Who is intending to have a subscription in the business that they own or work for? Okay, cool. So you guys are all very interested, that means. Okay, so let's go. First, just a quick introduction. I'm Ewa Wysocka. I'm the founder of Tribe 47, and I also am a founder of a subscription business which is called PortalYogi. We will not talk about it today so much because it's digital subscription, and you will see that we're gonna lean into a product subscription businesses. But I do own a subscription business in Poland for over, right now 7 years. Okay, so long time. And Arek.
Yeah, I'm Arek. I'm the CEO and co-founder on Sublime Analytics platform,
which is also a subscription business,
yes,
by the way. A part of helping businesses who are doing subscriptions. We also own subscription businesses, so I think that's even more cool, right? Okay, so just to know about the organizations that we represent today, we will not talk about us too much, but just so you remember that Tribe 47 is the company that helps with execution around growth, and Sublime is the company that helps to measure growth, and now we go into what we all want to hear about. So the session agenda in a fun way. So we're going to give you some facts and trends. We're going to give you some metrics. So there are going to be a little bit of numbers that are going straight from Sublime. So they are from real subscription-based businesses. We're going to give you some pros and cons. Some will be very confusing because there's no easy answers here. And some common approaches and some conclusions, hopefully, too, that will give you some actionable steps. So are you guys ready? Yeah, great. Okay, so this was my section, right? Okay, so we start with the why. So why actually we want to talk about subscriptions? You guys have your own reasons, right? But why we chose this topic is maybe also relevant to you because you're going to see somehow yourself in it. So first thing, based on the Gartner report, 70% of organizations have deployed subscription services or are considering it. So there's a big interest into subscription from the side of organizations. So we're going to talk today if actually customers also love it, because that's a different side of the story. But businesses love subscriptions. They actually want to have subscription businesses for different reasons. And actually customers do sign up for subscription products. I don't know if the image is enough bright, but here you can see the lines that represent percentage of customers from different countries who have owned at least one subscription. And the highest one is obviously in the United States, and it's over 50%. Then we've got United Kingdom, then we have Spain, France, and Germany, where the level is around 17%. So, you know, US is still the leader when it comes to subscription businesses, and I won't lie, if you want to launch a subscription business, US is the most obvious place, but obviously the competition is also very high. Europe is kind of catching up. Subscriptions are in Poland, not so popular still. We're going to give you some reasons maybe why. And finally, this is a graph from particular US market that shows how the subscription business market is growing month to month. So as you can see, the growth is there. The highest growth was obviously during the pandemic. Pandemic was the year when everywhere in the world, but obviously in US as always, it was the most visible, the subscriptions really went to the roof. I mean, from my own subscription business, which is a digital subscription product, PortalYogi, I can tell you that pandemia was my best business time, okay, ever. And it was obvious people were sitting at home and they were signing up for different products, and subscriptions also got a huge spike in terms of growth. But of course, this percentage growth is dropping, but the number of subscriptions and the business from subscription is still growing. So we can catch into this trend, and it's definitely worth it to talk about it. So some key questions that we want to answer, not just by this session, but the whole event today, is first one, is subscription a good choice for every e-commerce? Really interesting question, right? Because maybe not every. And finally, how to make subscription business successful, because that's another story. And you will see some data about how many subscription businesses actually make it. Not all of them, in fact. Do you guys have any other interesting question on your mind that you hope you're gonna answer to with today's session? Anyone?
Why people resign?
Ah, good, we're gonna answer this actually. What else? My question in mind, and I will share it because I didn't put it in the presentation, was should you start a business with subscription-only model? It's always on my mind. I have this question on my mind. So we're going to also try to address it. Not so much with my session right now, but with the session that's going to be after this one. And Marek?
Yeah, how do you choose the pricing of the subscription?
Good one. We're going to say something about it.
Plus,
during the panel discussion that we're going to have at 7 today, we're actually going to have a pricing guru who will give us some hints about the pricing for the subscription. So, Marek, if you have some more detailed questions, save them for the end.
Okay, one more.
Yeah?
Default subscription or one-time purchase?
Okay. We're going to talk about it a bit now, but also later. It's going to be the presentation by Sublime and Psibufet, where they will actually give you the story. Guys, there are some chairs if you want, like, we still have some space. Okay.
Yeah, so the boring stuff first. So a little bit of theory, so we all know what we are talking about. So basically there are like 3 types of subscription businesses in general. There are service subscriptions, probably like the most common, like Netflix. So we subscribe to some kind of digital service and we have access to it. We pay like on monthly basis. In Poland, it's like, for example, Gazeta Wyborcza or PortalYogi.
Product placement.
Yeah, product placement. On the other hand, we have the e-commerce subscriptions. So, for example, we can subscribe to a to a subscription that gives us free delivery. It's true for Allegro Smart, for example, and it's also true for MPIC, MPIC Premium. But MPIC Premium, for example, gives you not only the free delivery but also like access to audiobooks. So it's kind of a subscription that goes like between service and e-commerce subscriptions. So it's getting more complicated. Finally, we have product subscription, or they are sometimes called box subscriptions. So it's when you subscribe to physical product, and that's the type of subscriptions that we will be talking about today. Good examples here are Psi Buffet. That's why they will be talking in a minute. Mięsna Paczka, that delivers frozen meat on monthly basis, or Yorkaya, that gives you that sells like personal care. We have also kind of all-in-one subscriptions like Amazon that gives you not only like free delivery but also access to Amazon Prime, and also access to limited edition like stuff or products.
Yeah, so basically Amazon owns all types of subscriptions possible in their business.
There are giants even here, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically like three types of subscription businesses. It's how we define like subscriptions. And when we go down to product subscription, we can see that there are basically like two types of product subscription businesses. The first one being curated subscriptions, and this is when we sign up for a subscription, we fill in like the form with, and we like giving like information about like what we are interested in, for example, like what kind of wine we like, or we are giving like information about like our dog, for example, so its breed and stuff, and based on that information, like the curated like personalized subscription box is created for us. And it's true for Birchbox, for example, or Stitch Fix. Those are like brands from the US, big ones. We also have like replenishment subscriptions, where we subscribe to a product that we use on a regular basis, like the household items or personal care stuff, supplements. And here we have like Yorkaya or Nicolab that sells supplements. And also, like, again, in between, we have companies like Mięsna Paczka or Psi Buffet, because, for example, like for Psi Buffet, your dog like needs to eat every day, yes. So it's kind of a replenishment subscription, but on the other hand, you need to like give a lot of information about your dog to create a subscription and to have the best diet for your dog possible. So it's like somewhere in between, floating, and yeah.
But what's interesting, that in the world, like which of these two you think is the most popular, replenishment or curation? Curation. Actually, that's interesting because, in fact, in Poland, we think that the replenishment is more popular because that's what we see. Because Polish market is still a little bit underdeveloped when it comes to the subscription businesses with products. But in the world, it's over 55% is actually a curation box, not the replenishment. So I was surprised myself.
Yeah, there's like a novelty factor there. So you are like excited about like what you will like receive and stuff like that, and you want like a personalized experience as well. So, okay, and also last like theory slide. So we have like two common business models when it comes to subscriptions. So we can either have like business that sells subscription only. So subscription-only business, genius. And it's true for Mięsna Paczka, for example, or Psi Buffet, and Psi Buffet we'll talk about it like in the next session. And we have a hybrid model where you can buy products in subscriptions, but also like in one-off purchases. So make one-off purchases, and it's true for Yorkaya or for Nicolab. Okay. So the product subscription, like started like in 17th century. I was surprised when I like learned that, because in 17th century, the book subscription and milk subscription started, and like you had like a milkman like delivering milk to your door like every day, and that's the first product subscription. But the first famous product subscription in e-commerce, do you know what it was? It was like the Dollar Shave Club. Yeah, so everybody knows Dollar Shave Club. So they started like in 2011, and they had the brilliant idea that they will like have a subscription product with razors like being delivered to your door like every month for a month and something. And it was like really like innovative at that time. And by 2016, they had like 3.6, I guess, million users, like subscribers. And they were like acquired by Unilever for $1 billion. And that's when the subscription mania started, because everybody wanted to get into subscription.
Everyone wants to make $1 billion,
Exactly.
right? Not just create a subscription.
Okay, so now let's take a look at pros and cons of subscription from the company perspective and from the client perspective. Probably you are more interested in the company perspective, I guess.
But you should be interested in the
Yeah.
client perspective more, obviously.
Yeah, so what are like two main reasons? How do you think? Like, what are the two main reasons why companies love subscriptions?
The company point of view.
Yeah, the company point of view. Sorry?
Prediction.
Prediction, that's very good.
What else? Why companies and investors love
Yeah,
subscription
investors, yes.
businesses?
Repeat business.
Repeat business, that's very good. Loyal customers. Sustainable. Yeah, you are all right. So basically, like it's the revenue stability. So let's call it like revenue stability, and sometimes it boils down to like the retention rate, and the retention rate for subscriptions is like usually from 3 to 5 times higher than for one-off purchases.
And you know, these numbers are actually taken from the different databases that Sublime is gathering. So we can tell you from which businesses it comes from, but it's actually from the real businesses that are being tracked by Sublime. So it's accurate data, and that's fantastic that we can actually have it today.
Polish businesses or
Mainly Polish, yeah, mainly Polish. Like US businesses are like a little bit different, but not that much, to be honest. And the business is in Poland, so. Okay, so this revenue stability, but also the customer lifetime value. So probably you expect that customer lifetime value is higher for subscribers than for one-off like purchasers. But do you know for how much? Like how many times it's higher? What's your guess? Sorry, 40? 30. 30. Okay.
Percent or times?
You guys guess.
5 times.
5 times. So 500%. Who gives more?
10.
No, 10? That would be fantastic.
That would be too fantastic.
So data says it's like 0.56 to 3.6 higher, and Piotrek in his presentation will like go down into details to show you how it like looks like for different time perspective and
For mięsna paczka. For psi buffet.
for psi buffet, yeah. Okay, so this is like the bright side, and how do you think, like, what's the main reason like companies have troubles with subscription? Because like a lot of companies like start with subscriptions and they don't work. So what's the challenge? What's
People do resign.
sorry, resign?
Yeah.
That's true.
Estimating the right pricing.
Estimating the right pricing, also true.
It's hard to gain trust at first.
Yes, also true. But like from the company perspective,
It comes down to one number that is very tricky.
yeah, it like takes everything that you said
into one number.
into one number.
Like churn rate.
Churn rate, yeah, and you have to like spend money, so it's like
Cost per acquisition, who said
Yes.
that? Oh, thank you, Trevor.
so the customer acquisition cost for the subscribers is much higher. It differs between business to business, but how do you think? How much higher? More or less?
2-3 times.
Ah, very good. It's like between 1 or 2 to 3 times higher. So it's you have to like spend more money to get like a loyal customer or subscriber. But still, like the CLV to CAC ratio, so the ratio that tells us if you are like earning money or like spending like more money than we are earning, is still 2 to 3 times higher for subscription than for one-off purchases. So the more subscriptions you have, subscribers, the better. the more stable your income is, and the more money you are making.
And I have linked here the presentation that we have given at the first meetup like that we have done together. And it's about CLV and CAC. So these two metrics are like your fundament to actually measure the
growth,
success and growth of different businesses. So like if you guys haven't been there, maybe like we're gonna share that presentation later in the email, you guys can check it out. But yeah, I mean, I just wanna add one thing, that it all looks like it's obvious you should have subscription and only subscription. But remember that customer acquisition cost is also linked to how fast you can scale your business. Because if the customer acquisition cost is really high, even though it's still lower than your lifetime value, it might be too high for your business to scale. And that can be a trouble in the very beginning, because even though like the lifetime value, which means the repetitive orders that are gonna come in time, gonna actually satisfy this customer acquisition cost, it still can be too high in the beginning for the young company to just throw money and acquire and acquire and acquire. And that's where very often the problem exists.
Okay, so now let's get down to more like psychological reasons why like customers even like choose subscription, and let's take a look like on the subscription for customers' perspective. So how do you think, like, or maybe based on your experience, why do you choose subscriptions? Confidence? Convenience?
Okay. Why?
You saw the slide before, yes? Sorry? Or
Someone says that this is cheaper. True.
cheaper?
Should be cheaper.
Should be
Yeah.
I
cheaper.
think it should be cheaper.
We think it should be cheaper.
That's something that
I think this group is pretty smart. They know, Arek.
Yeah, probably they like run like subscription business for like 10 years now. So yeah, you are both. You're right. Like the main reason for Poland, those are like data for Poland, is the financial incentive. So customers like choose subscription because the price is right, and it's substantially cheaper than doing it like one time. And the other one is the convenience. So when we like have goods delivered like to us like every month, we don't need to like think about it and order stuff. It also like convince us to sign up for subscription. So the money is the king. So the price is the first incentive. And so so how do you think like the typical price difference between one-off and subscription? So when we like compare like the same products that we will buy like one time, and also like products that we will like subscribe. So how do you think, what should be like the difference in price?
How much cheaper?
Yeah, how
so
much
you
cheaper?
buy the subscription.
Yeah, how much cheaper? Sorry?
15%?
15 is good. What else? 20? Are you like shooting like numbers in blind, or you know that?
This is what Ewa does, for example. So
Very good. Very good. So between 15 or 20, yeah?
15 to 20.
15 to 20? Okay, so from what we have seen, it's like between 15 to 25, and it should be like substantially cheaper, and it shouldn't be a fraud, because like people like will quite quickly will know that they are like that then can like have the same product like being purchased like as one-off, and that they don't need to like sign up for a subscription. So you have to like make sure that the subscription discount is not higher than the best promo that you have like in place, because people will know nobody will buy the subscription and they will cancel. Yeah.
Okay, so me again now. Another question to you. So you know why people buy the subscription. So what are the reasons why people don't buy the subscription?
they don't need so many products. They just need one, for example.
So
Other reasons?
too much stock.
Maybe. What else?
So they will be like overstocked. Yeah.
What else?
Don't like to provide credit card.
Good one. We're going to go into that. But based on the same similar research that we have been showing you before, the first barrier is that people prefer to pay as they go. Of the reasons that you said, they don't want to have a lot of product stocks in their house, or they basically don't want that commitment. And the second one is they don't see the value. They basically just don't see the value in signing up for the subscription. So maybe the price difference doesn't justify enough really going for the repeated payment and signing up for some sort of commitment. And finally, they are occasional users of this product. So maybe that's fine if they don't buy, because this business is looking for the frequent buyers. So I would say the third reason is actually very okay. If you go to the page of someone who is a D2C business and you don't buy because you know that you will use it only once, I think that's a good reason not to buy, actually, because we don't want users like that. Yeah?
I have a question. Are you dealing with subscriptions of physical objects?
Yes. Yes.
Here,
Yes.
mostly.
Like magazine or newspaper subscriptions? This is
It has a very similar attributes, I would say, especially if it's a physical newspaper or physical magazine, right? But when it comes to the digital products, which is the access-based subscription, it has very similar, there are some similarities, but there are also some differences. I would say up till now, it's a lot of similarities that we speak about. But mostly we are focusing today on product-based subscriptions.
Use value also if the thing is delivered every month to you. You don't use it as much. You won't use it.
Yeah, I mean, saying that
There's no scarcity.
there might be no scarcity, but if the price is right, then a customer might actually see the value, right? So if the price difference is right, they might see the value in signing up, for example, for this particular subscription. That's why the value thing is very important here. Now, the question is, and Valek already mentioned, can the subscription payment method, which is related to the card, be an issue? Question to you guys. Yes?
From your experience, or just
Depends on your location.
friends' experience?
Also, like from the reason that it's often like said in trials, like no credit card,
Mhm.
so it clearly means that people don't want it.
Yeah, that convinced me like a lot. Like no credit
If
card.
you go to the reports that are from the global market, no one really mentions so much the card-only payment as a problem. But when we look particularly at the Polish market, the situation is a little bit tricky. So we have taken the researches from different countries showing more or less the percentage of subscription-friendly payments in the total e-commerce world, which means how many of e-commerce buyers are paying with digital wallet and card, because these are the two payment methods in e-commerce that are subscription-friendly. Because if you're, for example, paying with other methods, you guys know which they are in Poland. You can't really, right, as of yet, sign up for this easy like subscription, which is just kind of like charging your card on a monthly basis. So in US, 80% of online shoppers use either digital wallets or card for payment. So there's really no issue with the subscription, because everyone pays with the card and they always were paying for the card, for the one-off purchases and everything. That's like a card society, really. It was checks before, now it's really card and digital wallets as the primary method. Then UK is also very high. 75% of people in UK actually are paying with the digital wallets of cards. Once we go deeper into Europe, the situation starts to look very different. In Germany, it's 55%. Guess what it is in Poland?
25.
Yes, you guys are right. It's 25. So where goes the rest? Who takes the rest? Who takes the rest? So the rest obviously takes our favorite method, which is BLIK, and then bank transfers, who go through PayU, who go through all these other methods, Przelewy 24, and all the other guys who made it possible to do direct transfers. But we don't want to go into the topic of online payments. It could be another session here. Literally, when I started to gather data, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Because in different countries in Europe, there's different payment systems popular. In Netherlands, there is something else. Germany has their own thing. France, everywhere. And in a lot of these countries, there are these different payment gateways that actually build a very high reputation. And not necessarily they're placing the card payment as the primary one. And that's the case of Poland.
But works on it. So from
Yes, Blink says they work on it.
subscription payment.
That's true. Blink works on it, but as long I think as Blink is linked to the direct bank transfers, there would have to be some method to overcome it, because yeah.
I think maybe the Polish people want to have more control on their payments and not have the money taken out of their card when they're looking at.
I think it's a matter of an how you say, egg and a hen, that basically it's some habit that got formulated in Poland, and there has to be some change. Businesses that try to change the habit, and enough of them, so the habit changes and all this stuff.
Yes. Or maybe a case, maybe linked with what is the credit card policy? Because in US and UK, from what I know, the credit card policies are very relaxed. So if someone uses fraudulently your money from the credit card, they reimburse you. Whereas in Poland, there might be a problem with
No, it's the same, because it's still MasterCard and
people are
Visa.
still, in
But
their
people
country,
don't know it. I think that's the problem.
That's not serious to get this chargeback, not at all. No.
banks are
You
not
can
doing
get
that.
chargebacks from
This is
Visa.
what we hear about when you dive. Have you tried ever to do it?
No, I never had a reason.
I tried with Bolt, and it wasn't that easy.
No, it wasn't. It was
It's
to
not that
reimburse
easy, Poland.
if someone, the fraud from the card, yes, the credit card. Yes.
I think it would be a work of MasterCard and Visa to do some better advertising in Poland. That would be one thing.
We are not big market for them, are we?
I think we're still one of the bigger markets in Europe, you know.
They're satisfied with US, you know.
In the end of the day, that is relevant. This is relevant for the subscription business story, and we have to remember.
25%, that's a subscription business killer. We should finish the meeting right now.
It's not, because if you would think from that perspective, a lot of business ideas that you guys have would be a total killers, because the percentage of the society that can actually afford your product will be much lower than 25%. So when we're thinking about online businesses, 25% is still okay.
I think like the people that had this challenge, and probably like Maciek will share his like experience, so that will shed some light.
Also remember, these are the payments that are being done right now in Poland. So that means every almost e-commerce company gives an option to pay by card. It's not the first choice. But if your product, if your business offers only the card payment choice, if you're truly awesome, people might still go for it, because this is not statistic of people who want to pay by card. This is statistic of people who actually paid by card. They chose the card payment from all the other available, right? So
Still millions of people.
there's still millions of people, plus you can still force more people to pay by card, because people have cards. It's just that they choose other payments when they have a choice. So I will put this slide here because you have to remember that on top of this statistic, you should put the perspective of your persona. So if your persona is actually in the top percentage of the, more like higher earners in the society, if they live in a big city, if they use gadgets, if they are Netflix and other subscription services subscriber, then you have a higher chance that they actually might be open to the card payment and might be open to your subscription. But if you're actually selling to the personas from smaller cities who are less technologically aware, then you have to take into consideration those statistics, because they will be behaving like the bigger majority of the population. So another question, which a lot of you guys asked, is like, okay, so how to retain the customer? You got the customer through subscription. Wow, you succeeded. They paid by card even though they didn't want to, and you're so happy. You have the subscription on your account, and now how can you retain the customer? It's a huge question, because getting them, it's fine. They're probably going to stick anyways longer, because Arek was showing this data, and you're going to see it in the next session too. But it's still your job to retain them. It's not like they sign up and they will stay forever. They can actually cancel any time. They should at least be able to. Otherwise, you're scamming them. So based on Gartner, only 20% of subscription businesses will succeed in increasing customer retention. obviously that's some Gartner statistic, but I would say, like, even when we were doing research for this presentation, we wanted to show some examples of different subscription businesses in Poland, and we're like, oh, this one doesn't exist anymore. Oh, this one also doesn't exist anymore. Oh, actually, we thought they still exist, but they don't exist anymore for some reason. So it's not so easy, I guess. And these were the questions that you guys also had. So now, why do people cancel subscription? You guys tell me.
Not satisfied with the product or service anymore.
Why else?
Don't need it anymore.
Okay.
Find something cheaper.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting. Like something you said as an obvious. People are dissatisfied with the product. But do you remember what was the main reason why people don't sign up for the subscription? Is that, yeah, they didn't see the value or they preferred to pay as they go. So they actually were excited about that product. So the subscription failed them, not because of a payment method, card, whatever shit. It failed them on the product level. So the primary reason why people cancel is related to the product, to the experience that you're solving with your product. And then the next things go. They actually prefer to pay as they go, or they don't see the value. So the same reasons why it stopped them from subscribing are still in the list, but the primary one is really about your product. And the one that was also not on the list, because people don't realize it before they sign up for subscription, but there is a huge thing in us, all of you, even though you value stability, we have this passion for novelty. We like to change. We like to change stuff. We prefer to change a shampoo versus our partner, gladly, but we want to change something in our lives, right? So we are humans, and we want to make some changes. We want some novelty, we want some attraction, we want to get it from the product. So sometimes, actually, subscription doesn't offer it because they ship you the same thing over and over and over again. So these are some problems. So now, because we have lots of numbers, we work with Sublime, who are numbers. I wanted to add a little bit of the psychology perspective to this presentation, so I threw in something that is more like food for your thought. It's not like clear answers, but hopefully something that you can reflect on later. So I threw in a quote from a book that maybe some of you guys read, but if you haven't, you should definitely read it if you want to work in a subscription business. A successful subscription business economic value is a function of the strength of the habit that this subscription creates. Any of you guys know who might have said that?
The book is Hooked.
Yay! Well, at Tribe they have to read it, so that's why probably. It's called Hooked, and it's by Nir Eyal. It's a guy who just studied the habit formulating formula. And he works with a lot of subscription businesses. He started working more with the SaaS businesses and digital subscriptions, but recently he also consults and works with physical product subscriptions. So there's already some articles from him. And he gives this perspective that really subscriptions are about creating habits. And we have to be aware of the fact that not all subscription businesses are linked to existing strong habits, like shaving or using tampons. Of course, women use tampons, men shave. But there's so many other things that we want to sell that are linked to the habits that are not necessarily existing. Can you guys give me an example? Food, for example. Healthy food. Everyone eats breakfast, but does everyone eat like this particular healthy snack for breakfast? Fuel, you guys mentioned. It's actually a very different approach to eating, right? You're supposed to make a shake from some protein and different stuff and drink it every day instead of buying McDonald's or other fast food for lunch. Or supplements, that's a great example. We all say we want to take supplements, but how many of you, if you want to share with the audience, actually stick to the habit of taking a supplement day by day? Okay, Bokusha, thank you. Like, you're the star. But a lot of us didn't. And it's because someone sold us a supplement and maybe even the subscription, but they forgot to help us to actually formulate this habit. So I don't want to go there like in detail, but you guys can read the book and take some conclusions. But there's some different steps of habit formulation by Nir Eyal, which is about triggering the product use, action, so generating a habitual behavior, reward, which is about a user feeling during the process of using the product that they are realizing their need, succeeding in a way, right? And finally, there's investment. So if you're investing money or time or whatever into this new habit, you're more likely to stick to it. So when we are creating a subscription business, we have to remember that it's not just the numbers and economics, it's also the psychology and how we actually gonna relate to it. So there's an interesting article, I have linked it, from the same guy. He created his own kind of 3 reasons why subscription businesses fail from the psychological standpoint. And first one, he says, is actually too many steps to psychological relief, which means that this subscription and a product is actually not relieving the person from the need or desire that they wanted to. So somehow the product purchase wasn't enough to really create an effect. And that could be a case of supplements, that could be a case of some different meal habit, it could be a case of cosmetic that really didn't, fulfill the promise, or a customer didn't get the help to fulfill it. Finally, this novelty factor. As a subscription business, we have to take it into consideration. If we really want to make it sticky, there has to be some novelty and how we can incorporate it into the product. There are ways to do it. You can do it with throwing in some samples or some extra value, or maybe communicating with the customer to maybe arrange some change to that. And finally, a lack of stored value. So I'm a subscriber, I'm paying to this business all the time. So what is this additional value? Do I see this additional value? Is this just about paying the same stuff every month and getting the things through a ship? Or there's some other value? So just to really almost reach the end of this presentation, I wanted to show you one of the ideas that I just found through the research. I haven't heard about it before. So I just wanted to show that there are already companies that are thinking outside the box on how they can actually challenge those barriers. And I chose this one. It's bottomless coffee. Have you guys ever heard about it? It's a coffee that comes with this smart scale. So it's a scale plugged to your iPhone where you actually put a package with your coffee beans, and it's triggering the shipment of your next subscription order based on the amount of beans that are inside of your package. So you're not getting coffee being shipped to you just at the very same time. You're getting coffee shipped to you the moment when the beans are actually finishing inside of that. And I believe it's a very simple device, right? Because it just kind of tells how many beans are inside of the package. So someone came with a cool idea, right? So you can go there, thinking outside of the box and looking at the different potential barriers. So at the end of this presentation, we just wanted to throw something about what's next and what are the possible growth potential for the subscription.
Yeah, so there are a couple of forecasts for subscription segments. We at the end of the presentation we gave the links to all the articles that we referred to, so you can check that in details. But how do you think? What's the segments to be the biggest subscription segment? And I guess these are data for US. So supplements, okay.
Anything we use daily, right? Some
Beauty care, food, okay. So basically, it's beauty and personal care, and that will be the biggest one. And I think it is the biggest today as well. And also there is one segment that is growing very fast. Do you know what it is? Sorry? Gaming. But it's
think more about
physical
products.
Food. Okay, it's food and snacks. You are right. So this is the most dynamic segment, and it will be huge in a couple of years.
And finally, maybe this slide is not very clear, but I wanted to throw it in the end. It's an interesting report by Kearney showing the percentage of what's the percentage of existing businesses in the different subscription segments, and what's in this darker column, you can see the percentage of people who declared the interest in the subscription. So here the last two are groceries and the baby care products. So you can see here that there is more interest in the subscriptions within these two categories than there is actual subscriptions offerings in the market. So based on this particular research, if you wanted to go just with it, you should create a subscription in groceries and in diapers or some other baby product.
Ideally,
So
Polish market or what market?
this is for
US.
For US mostly.
it's for
yeah.
US and yeah.
We
Well-
don't have that. We don't have the latest. We don't have the latest research like that. But I think US is always, anyway, showing the trend, and there's already more and more grocery subscription businesses. So we can see that this is booming. Babies, it's kind of obvious. I think the problem with babies is they grow older, right? So there's always going to be a ceiling to the subscription, right? Because
But there is always new babies.
but there's always new babies, or they get older and they can, get other stuff. So definitely that. In the end, I just give you some, of course, an idea to go home with your own conclusions, because we are not answering questions here, just giving you some different perspectives. We have also put 2 more books from the psychological perspective about how to create subscription-based businesses. I really love Automatic Customer. Both are good, just to understand also the psychology perspective around creating this kind of businesses, and the links to the reports and articles that we were referring. So.
Yeah. So, and if you are interested in the Polish market, the Deloitte one is for Poland, and it's from 2021,
Yeah.
so it's the most recent. So I would
And
recommend
there's-
to start with that.
Yeah, there are some data. I would say some of them some of them might be a bit tricky, but I would say there is a lot of data in this webinar report, and some of them we have put here based on what we thought would be useful. So thank you guys. Now let's welcome Sublime and Psi Buffet representatives. So guys will give you some cool case study.